I finally made it to the recommendation video that I've been training for my entire life. Let's recommend some purple books. Hello my lovely friends, it's Margaret. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the recommendation video for purple covers. If you have not been paying attention, this is the final installment of a 5-video series where I recommend books based on the color of the cover. I am doing this for the different teams in the Amazing Readathon, and it is finally time for the purple team's turn. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am a co-host for the purple team. I will have all of the information for the Amazing Readathon linked down below in the description box, as well as the videos that I did previously, all of the rest of the videos in this series linked down below, as well as the books. I'm going through these really quick. I'm going to tell you a little quick snippet. If you want more information, go check them out on Goodreads. Disclaimers before we get started. If you are on the purple team and you are not reading a purple book, it is not the end of the world. There are 3 different ways to get extra points. Reading a book that is the same color as your team is only one of them. You could also read a book by a BIPOC author, or you can read a translated work. The other disclaimer is I am eyeballing these. I'm just looking at them going, would I be mad if another team used a book like this to fulfill a specific prompt? Okay? That said, let's get into the books that I've read and definitely recommend that have purple covers, and also a couple of books that are on my physical TBR that may be making it into my TBR for the readathon. I'm just going to be reading. I'm not going to worry about cover color. Honestly, I'm just going to read the books I want to read. Will there be a TBR video for me? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I may not do a TBR this month. First off, we're starting with an oldie but a goodie, and that is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I am specifically recommending this edition as part of the Barnes & Noble Signatures editions. There are other versions of Sense and Sensibility out there. Unfortunately, they would not count for this because they don't have purple covers. This is a classic, obviously, and it's about it's about one sister. We also get some of Marianne, but primarily it is about Eleanor, and Eleanor is trying to help keep her family together after her father's death. All of his stuff went to his son from a previous marriage, and she and her 2 sisters and her mother have been kind of left depending upon the goodness of relatives. She has to deal with the fact that she has a very romantic, naive sister who is not quite happy with the life they are living and has her eyes set on some other things. I am also going to recommend you 2 YA sci-fi. The first one is Brightly Burning by Alexa Dunn. This is a retelling of Jane Eyre, but it's set in space, which kind of honestly makes it a little bit creepier. Our main character is an engineer, but she's not particularly happy with it, so she ends up applying to be a governess on this ship that is well away from the rest of the fleet, and they agree to let her come on board and be the governess, but some weird, creepy shit starts happening, and she starts going, okay, something's off here. I also have The Kindred by Alicia Dow. This is her sophomore novel, sort of in the same world as her Sound of Stars, but it's connected, but you don't have to read them in any particular order. We are following 2 teens who have been matched. There's a matching program that they do to make sure that things. It's supposed to make the richer planet, more considerate of the poorer planet, but she ends up getting matched with this guy, and it is an experience for both of them because no one's happy that she is matched with him because he's very important. They didn't want him to be matched with someone from this planet, or at least not with her from this planet. And so they end up having to kind of go on this, cross-universe trek, and they end up stranded on Earth. The next book that I'm going to recommend you is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, and I know this looks like it's a green book, but if you turn it around, there is plenty of purple on this cover. I would guess that there's at least 51% of purple on this cover. Again, eyeballing it. If you want to use this for the green team, nah, there's definitely not as much green on this cover. This is a middle grade fantasy. It is following Sophie Hatter. It's very whimsical, and she ends up accidentally getting cursed to be an old woman, and her automatic thought is, well, why don't I go out into the wilderness? And she ends up getting a job as the housekeeper for this wizard named Howl. And the thing about Wizard Howl is that he's known for eating young women's hearts. And she's like, well, I'm an old lady, I don't have to worry about this. And then she gets in this household and realizes that Howl is not quite who everyone seems to think he is. She ends up making a deal with his fire demon to undo an enchantment that is binding him to Howl, and it goes from there. The next book that I want to recommend you is A Wounded Name by Dot Hutchison. This is a YA retelling of Hamlet. It is dark. There are trigger warnings for physical violence. There are trigger warnings for suicidal ideation. There's just a lot of trigger warnings. It's Hamlet retold. If you need specifics, I can give them to you, but we're following Ophelia. She is also dealing with the death of a parent, but her mother died much, much longer ago. It affected her mental health. It affected a whole bunch of other stuff. There's some weird stuff going on in the lake, and she's also dealing with the fact that her best friend is losing his ever-loving mind. This has got some beautiful, beautiful prose. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of Hamlet or just want pretty writing. That, unfortunately, is all of the purple books that I have that I could recommend you that are not sequels. If you would like sequels, I can give you a video about sequels, but most of the purple books I own are not the first book in the series, so I wasn't going to recommend you those. But for some books that I have on my TBR that I would might be reading this month, we have Starry Eyes by Jen Bennett. No idea what this is about. It's a YA contemporary novel. That's as much as I know. I also have a YA fantasy, Treason of Thorns by Laura E. Weymouth. There's something weird going on, like there's a house or something. Weird stuff going on with the house. Her and her friend are in love with each other, something like that. I don't know. And then I also have a bunch of short stories, which is Because You Love to Hate Me by a bunch of different authors. This is a collaboration between these authors and a bunch of like booktubers. I keep meaning to read this. I haven't read it yet. Eventually it will get read. If you end up reading any of these, please come back and let me know so that I can like check them out. I would love to like see what your thoughts are. If you're not feeling chatty but you want to let me know that you watched to the end of the video, go ahead and leave me a purple heart emoji. The last two videos that I did in this series right over here if you want to check those out. Also, they'll be linked down below in the description box. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!